Okay. Hello, everybody. Good evening here from Munich. Greetings from Germany. I'm sitting here. Now it's dark, frosty and icy out there. I'm glad to guide you through the webinar today. My name is Kevin Gregorian. I'm head of the Emergency Medical Service and Medical Service of the St. John's here in Germany. Today we have, in my opinion, one of the most interesting topics we have here in this webinar. We are talking about helicopters. Helicopters are mostly familiar with, it's a very certain way for emergencies, and when they come to emergency, it has to be a very strong one, difficult, high medical. Today we have 3 speakers, and before we start with the speakers, I'm glad that Lisa wants to give an introduction to the project.
Many thanks. I hope you can hear me well. Can you? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
You can. Very great. Okay, then let me start. Hello. Okay. On behalf of the KnowEMS consortium, I would like to briefly introduce the KnowEMS project to all persons that are joining our webinar for the first time today. KnowEMS is a short form of Knowledge Network of Workable Emergency Medical Systems, and we started this project, which is co-funded by the European Union in January 2024, and it will run until December of this year. The consortium behind this project consists out of 7 organizations representing 6 different countries. Here we have the Johanniter Unfallhilfe in Germany, we have Magan David Adom in Israel, the National Institute of Medical Emergency, called ENEM in Portugal. We have the Department for Emergency Situations within the Romanian Ministry of Internal Affairs. There also is Ayuntamiento de Madrid from Spain, and we have the Société Française de Médecine de Catastrophe, as well as Assistance Publique Hôpital de Paris, also from France. KnowEMS builds up on a further project called KnowFear, in which it has been identified that there is nearly no network existing for EMS to exchange knowledge on a national level. And this was an issue, for example, during COVID. And as you probably remember, that the pandemic has had a very different level in various countries at the same time. So exchange of lessons observed could probably have helped. If you are also interested in the KnowFear project, I will put the link in the chat to visit the website when I am done with speaking. In the KnowEMS project, we are creating a network of EMS for EMS operating managers with involvement of civil protection and public safety actors. We share the knowledge accumulated in KnowEMS through the knowledge network of the EU Civil Protection Mechanism and other fora to allow growing of this sector of EMS by effective exchange. And we are organizing monthly webinars to discuss issues of interest to give EMS staff and EMS operation managers the opportunity to learn from each other. Therefore, we invite presenters like today from organizations and from authorities all over Europe and beyond to talk about very specific experience. The webinars are usually scheduled for the first Thursday of every month. Today is an exception because of the New Year holidays, which we had last week. We are recording our webinars. That's an information to you. So if you missed any of the further sessions, or if you would like to review them, please check out our YouTube channel where you can find all the recordings. Therefore, just use the QR code or search for KnowEMS on YouTube. I will wait a second to give you a chance to scan the code if you're interested. And in the end of the webinar, you will have the opportunity to ask questions if there are any. So if you want to, please write them in the chat during the meeting. Last but not least, if you don't want to miss anything, become part of our network and register via this QR code. It's a different one than the one I showed in the previous slide. And for those of you who would like to receive a certificate of attendance for this webinar, please stay with us. At the end, we will share a QR code as well as a link in the chat where you can register. With this last information, I would like to hand back to you, Kevin.
Thank you very much. The focus should be not on me. I want to introduce the first speaker. Johannes wants to start. Johannes is a paramedic and a HEMS TC here in our helicopter emergency medical services. Now he's the division manager of the helicopter emergency medical services here of the St. John's in Germany. And yeah, Johannes, it's your turn.
So now it should work.
We see your presentation, yes.
Perfect. Good, let us start. Thank you, Kevin, for your introduction. Today, I'm happy to give you a simple overview of how air rescue works in Germany, explain how we as the Johanniter are involved in this important work, and share what makes us special in this role. Let's begin with a brief overview of the air rescue system in Germany. This will be followed by a short introduction to Johanniter Air Rescue, including the members of our crew, the types of aircraft we used, the equipment on board, our location, and our special features. In Germany, there are around 89 helicopters used for rescue and intensive care transport. About 20 of these are used only for intensive care transport. The rest are rescue helicopters or can be used for both. It means rescue and intensive care missions. The main public operators in Germany are the ADRC, DRF, and the Federal Ministry of Interior. And we at Johanniter Air Rescue as the smallest part of this. A rescue helicopter is like a mix of an emergency doctor vehicle and an ambulance car. It flies quickly to an accident site, helps the patient and takes them to the nearest hospital. The crew includes normally one pilot, one emergency doctor, and one paramedic with a special helicopter training in or trained by our company. Rescue helicopters are mainly used for emergency missions, but they can also be handled search and rescue missions, organ and blood transport, or medical team transfer. Because they have a small cabin and limited range and normally operating within 50 to 70 kilometers of their base. This is what the inside of such a helicopter looks like in Germany. You can see the space in the patient area is very limited. And the next step, or the next bigger step, will be the intensive care helicopter like on this page. Intensive care transport helicopters in Germany are mostly used in what we call dual use operation. It means these helicopters are used for secondary missions, transporting patients from one hospital to another, or primary missions responding to accidents, treating patients and transporting them to a hospital. These helicopters, these helicopters are specially equipped with additional materials for intensive care transport, for example, just as to intensive care ventilators and 6 infusion pumps. The crew includes all minimum one pilot and can be upgraded to include a second pilot. The rest of the part are one emergency doctor and one paramedic, same like the helicopter you can see before. They can also be used for search and rescue. I think it's clear, as well as transporting organs, blood, and also medical teams. And this is what the interior of a small intensive care transport helicopter looks like in comparison. I think you can see it's much more space than before. In addition to the helicopters, they are also intensive care transport planes. These planes are usually modified business jets and are designed to transport critical ill patients. It's also intensive care patients. They are equipped with a stretcher, oxygen supply, and medical equipment similar to intensive care helicopters. At the plane, the crew includes minimum 2 pilots, 1 emergency doctor, and 1 paramedic. And the main advantage of these planes are they can travel long distance. They can fly in bad weather conditions because they used instruments flight rules. In Germany, we say, or in the flight language, you say IFR instead of relying on clear visibility like helicopters, VFR. The Johanniter Air Rescue. Johanniter Air Rescue is a part of the Johanniter Unfallhilfe. It was founded in '72 and has many years of experience in the air rescue. Our headquarters are in Gießen in central Germany, where we manage all operation. The management teams includes Oliver Mehrmann, who is also the regional director at Johanniter for Hessen, Rheinland-Pfalz and Saarland. And the second part, Frank Zabel, who is also the manager of HeliFlight, a company that became a part of Johanniter Air Rescue and Johanniter Unfallhilfe last year. What does Johanniter Air Rescue do? Our main job is to operate rescue helicopters and intensive care helicopters. I think it's clear. We also work with partners like the Federal Ministry of Interior, DRF Luftrettung, ADAC Luftrettung, and Northern Helicopters. At these partner stations, we provide just HEMS crew members to support their operations. Currently, Johanniter Air Rescue operates 4 stations on its own, supports 5 partner stations with HEMS crew members, and is involved in offshore air rescue at Northern Helicopters in the north of Germany. We also used intensive care transport plane to bring Johanniter members back home safely from anywhere in the world during emergencies. Yeah, how our crew are composed. Our pilots have a lot of flying experience and excellent skills. To become a pilot with us, you need a commercial pilot license, training for the specific type of the helicopter, and many hours of flying experience, but also the regular training to keep their skills up to date. Since December last year, 2023, the company HeliFlight, which previously provided helicopters and pilots for our company, has become a 100% part of Johanniter Unfallhilfe and Johanniter Air Rescue. Our emergency doctors are very expired and usually come from large hospitals. To join us, they need to be a specialist doctor. In Germany, we say Facharzt, or extra training in emergency care for adults and children, and experience in intensive care medicine. Most of our doctors specialized in the field of anesthesia. Their main tasks are normally treating patients at the accident sites, taking care of patients during the flight, and providing intensive medical care if needed. Our paramedics have many years of experience in ground rescue services. After that, they can receive an extra training to become a HEMS crew member. Once their training is complete, they can start working in air rescue, and they have many tasks. In my opinion, the most of the parts in the air rescue mission, helping the pilot during the flight, watching the airspace and assisting with navigation, communication with the team on board, following checklist for normal and emergency situation and procedures, and assisting the doctor with patient care at the scene, and sometimes also during the flight. With only a few exceptions, most paramedics are also work in ground-based emergency services to keep their skills independent emergency medical care up to date. The aircrafts. Our fleet at the moment, Johanniter Air Rescue operates 7 helicopters and has also access to 2 airplanes for intensive care transport when need. Our helicopter models here, you can see all helicopters we use. The left one is the model H145, is the most modern helicopter in civil air rescue in Europe. I think you know it. The middle one is the AS365. This helicopter was originally used by the US Coast Guard, but now it's becoming slowly outdated. And the right one is the H155, is the largest helicopter used in civil air rescue in Europe. Our special equipment have more than the standard requires. This allows us to special transport just as heavy load transports or transport for newborns. We call it incubator. Transport with heart-lung machines, we call it ECMO. And isolation transport, there we have a special transport from a company from Israel. It names ISOAG. Yeah, with our helicopters and flexible equipment, we are able to transport patients of all kinds, no matter their condition or medical needs. Here are some examples of the special transport we can handle. The heaviest patient we have transported weighed about, I think, 320 kilograms. Even other types of transport need a high level of expertise from the crew and space in the helicopter, which is not often available in air rescue, or it's not normal for air rescue, but for us, it's just a part of our everyday work. Yeah, our location at Gießen, we operate a 24 hours helicopter every day of the year. The helicopter has been based there since 2014 and is used as an intensive care helicopter in dual use operation. It's the only helicopter serving 3 federal states that can also fly at night. We use the newest one, the H145 D3, currently at the most modern helicopter in Europe, like I told you before. Our Reichelsheim location had, we operate a daytime helicopter. They can also fly it into the night. We currently use the H145, the largest helicopter in air rescue in Europe, but this helicopter allows us to handle all types of special transport, like I told you 2 pages before. One Nürburgring location is a little bit special. Here we operate an intensive care helicopter that was originally used for rescue mission at the Grand Prix racetrack. Today it can also be used for emergency in the surrounding areas, coordinated by the local emergency dispatch center. The helicopter is specially equipped for special emergencies. And now it's also an ECMO device for heart-lung support for the whole duty on board. It flies over 1,000 missions per year, with most of them taking place outside the Nürburgring Grand Prix and in the nearby regions. Our first location is Rostock, where we have been operating for over 30 years, I think 32 years. The helicopter is used across the northern region of Germany, operates 24 hours a day, and is specialized in intensive care transport. It completes around 500 missions each year. At all our locations, we are able to fly it into the night. For this reason, all our pilots and some paramedics, HEMS-TC, are trained to use night vision goggles. The training and maintenance of these devices are done directly by us. In Reichelsheim, as you can see, night vision goggles offer great advantages in air rescue and provide our crew with even more safety during night operations. After the flood disaster, we can now carry out hoist rescue. During the floods, our helicopters from the Nürburgring station was one of the first to arrive, but it could not fully assist. This was very difficult for our team and us. To prevent this in the future, we developed a hoist rescue system ourselves and paid it on our own. But not all of our helicopters have hoists installed, but they can made ready within minutes by a small team when needed. A small team is highly trained for this and is always ready for action within 15 till 30 minutes. Thanks for your attention. Any questions?
Thank you very much. I think the questions we would collect in the afterwards, after all three presentations. So I would like to continue with the second presentation. The second presentation is regarding with the title Blood on Board, the experience of Bergamo HEMS services. And I'm very glad that we found Francesco. Francesco is, now I'm probably gonna struggle with pronunciation, anesthesiologist and critical care physician. He's working in the pre-hospital emergency medical services for over 10 years. Currently, he's the clinical lead of the helicopter emergency medical services in Bergamo. And I'm glad, Francesco, that you found the time to present here your experience and your workings in the Blood on Board HEMS in Bergamo.
Hello, Kevin, and hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be with you tonight, and thank you for inviting me to this webinar. I'm going to share my screen now. I hope you can see my presentation. Can you see it?
Yes, but it is not on presentation mode.
Exactly. We see the...
It's the edit mode.
I cannot understand why, because I can... Is it on the presentation mode now or not yet?
Not yet.
Give me a second, probably I can support. Come on.
Can you see the presentation mode?
Not at the moment, it's still in the edit mode.
I think, Francesco, you have to change it in your settings.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it, yeah, but
In case it is not feasible, I can do it instead.
Let's do it again.
Yes, I suggest that you present. It would be easier.
Yeah.
And now?
Okay. No, still not in presentation mode. Yeah, I will just open it and then I will share my screen.
Thank you.
I don't understand why, but
it's loading, no worries. I will support. Come on. And presentation mode. So now I can share it. I just needed a few seconds for the download. Okay, can you see it, Francesco?
No, no, not really. I can see my presentation from.
We see it.
Yeah, Francesco, I shared your presentation. Can you see the starting page? blood on board in Lombardy. Can you see it?
Francesco, you need to stop sharing.
Yes.
No, it's me. I'm sharing at the moment.
No, I'm telling Francesco that in order to see that he needs to stop sharing.
Ah, okay, great.
Francesco, we see slide number 1. So in the worst case scenario, you just follow on your screen and tell
yeah, but
Lisa.
I understand, but I can't see what you're sharing. So
it doesn't matter, Francesco. It doesn't matter. Just follow your presentation and tell Lisa when to change the slide.
Okay. So I'm sorry for this technical problem, but good afternoon, and thank you again for inviting me to the webinar. I've already been presented, so I carry on, and actually I'm afraid, but I can't see what you're sharing, but I'm just going on. So
I opened the slide called teamwork.
Okay, yeah. So I'm here today to first of all, it's important for me to tell you that I'm here to talk on behalf of a large team of colleagues and technicians, and also thanks to the blood donors who have made our Blood on Board program possible. And we do not have conflict of interest to declare. Can you share the next slide, please?
Yeah, now you can see the HEMS team slide.
Yeah, so this is to show you our team. We have a fleet in our region in Lombardy that is made of 5 helicopters. Each of one is staffed with 5 people. We have a pilot and a helicopter hoist operator, who are the 2 black people here. And then we have wearing black dress here, and we have a physician, critical care physician, a critical care nurse, and a mountain rescue technician. Sometimes, next slide, please. We do have also special teammates here. We have a dog avalanche unit from the Corpo Nazionale Soccorso Alpino e Speleologico. And this is to remember that we work in close collaboration with the Italian mountain rescue. You can share the next slide, please.
Yeah, I'm sharing the second one with the map now.
There is a video that you can probably start. Just let me know if you can start the video or not.
I think I can't see a video.
You cannot see. What do you see?
I see the map of Lombardy with 1 helicopter on it.
Okay, this is the old presentation. I sent you a new one today in the afternoon. So
okay, I will stop the sharing. I'm sorry.
No. It's my problem. I'm afraid, but I don't know why I can't share the presentation. So
let me see. Okay.
yeah, let's see.
Okay, I think it's loading. Come on. It's still loading. I will share my screen.
Try and make a further attempt to share my presentation?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, it's working now. Great.
Do you see the presentation mode?
Not the presentation
No, we
mode.
can't. No, we can't. It's the same as
we see the
previously.
editing mode, the slides.
And now?
No.
I don't understand why.
You have a button down there left to the zoom. When you go down on your screen, down on the right side is the zoom, and the button directly on the left side of it. Go further right with your mouse.
What can you see now?
Your Editing mode.
Still in the editing mode. On the right corner of the button down there, you have the zoom, where you have the 89%. You see it?
Okay, yeah, I know what you mean, yes.
Directly left of it, you have the button for the presentation. Let's try with it. Yes, that one.
Yeah, but I did it, of course. But you still see
Colleagues,
my.
let's be mindful of time, please. And I suggest that Lisa shares her screen, and we move ahead.
Okay.
Otherwise, I can carry on with the edit mode. But anyway,
I have the right one. Now.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Now I can. Yeah. Shall you share the video, please? So I just want you to show a medical evacuation from a hostile environment, which is part of our job. And the two yellow people there are the physician and the critical care nurse. And in the stretcher, in the red stretcher, there is the patient. You probably have stopped the video, but you can go to the next slide so we can save time. So that if you want, so there is.
Okay, now I show the special teammates.
Now this is the previous slide. You are going backward.
Yeah. Okay. No.
Yeah.
I got it.
Thank you. So this is our region. As you may see, we have to deal with geographical constraints because Lombardy is a quite complex from an orographical point of view region. And it's the most populated region in Italy too. There are 10 million people living in Lombardy, and it is the second most visited region in our country. Next slide, please. So this is our helicopter fleet by Areo, which is the emergency medical system agency in Lombardy. We have 5 helicopters. 2 are the 12/7, and the other 3, the blue ones, are 24/7 services. All of them are equipped with night vision goggles so they can operate in the dark, and all of them are have hoist rescue capabilities. Please, next slide. So this is the helicopter in Bergamo, which is located right in the center of the region at the foot of the Alps. Well, despite that, the transport time can be quite long. We also perform mainly primary missions, which is more than 80% than our activity, and then approximately 10 to 15% it's secondary missions, so transport from hospital to hospital. Next slide, please. This is the according to our data. So currently in Lombardy, when a HEMS service is dispatched to the scene of an accident, the arrival on scene to hospital time interval is median time 56 minutes, and the patient spent at least 84 minutes out of the hospital from the time of injury. This time window is, of course, we think it's biologically meaningful for the patient. And when we consider that, please click the button. When we consider that there is an animation, yes, when we consider that the median time to death for traumatic hemorrhage is approximately 100 minutes. That's why we started to think in 2019 to carry blood components with us. And when we started thinking about that, the situation in Italy is what we can see on the next slide, please, Lisa. So there were no EMS service in Italy who had blood on board capabilities at that time. Please share the next slide, Lisa. And at the same time, this was the situation in the United Kingdom, there were already several HEMS service with blood on board capabilities. Let's see a survey published from the European Union now. Next slide, yes, please. And the country where blood components were most used in pre-hospital arena was France. You can see that out of approximately 70 responders, at least 60 of them already had red blood cells, and approximately 20 of them had plasma as well. So they were able to deliver a balanced transfusion treatment to the bleeding patient. Please, next slide, Lisa, please. And this was the situation in Italy in 2022, according to this survey that is being published on Air Medical Journal. We had 4 HEMS services in Italy who had blood on board. The northernmost of the red dots is Bergamo. And you can see that we have blood and we have hoist rescue capabilities as well. Please, next slide, Lisa. Okay, here in Bergamo, we are quite lucky because from a logistical point of view, the base, the HEMS base is within the hospital premises. That is Papa Giovanni XXIII Bergamo in the main hospital, the main general hospital here in Bergamo. And the blood bank is at a walkable distance from our blood, from our HEMS base. Please, next slide, Lisa. So we, together with our colleagues from the transfusion medicine department, we have decided to carry 2 units of zero negative red blood cells and 2 units of AB positive thawed plasma in these cold chain bags that have been validated by our blood bank technicians. Please, next slide, Lisa. Thank you very much. And we monitor and we trace the temperature inside those boxes during usage, always. And from the next slide, we can see that even in a very hot days like August 2023, when the temperature in Bergamo raised well above the 35 Celsius degrees, the temperature inside the box held quite still, around 5 Celsius degrees. So and in fact, so far in more than 4 years, we haven't discarded any units of blood components due to poor handling. Please, next slide. We do use a fluid warmer that is very convenient for our setting because it's very light. You see that the weight is below 1 kilogram. Yes, next slide, please, Lisa. And this is our standard operative procedure with the transfusion criteria that you can read on the right side of this slide. Please, next slide, Lisa. So far, in the first 4 years, we have transfused 65 patients, and not surprisingly, the prevalent cause of out-of-hospital hemorrhagic shock in our region was blunt trauma. That is far more common than penetrating, and road traffic injuries are the most common cause of traumatic hemorrhagic shock in the pre-hospital arena. Non-trauma cases are just a tiny minority, as you can see from this summary. Please, Lisa, the next slide. Our data show, according to data published by others in the literature, that although organizationally difficult to bring blood components out of the hospital, it is feasible and it is safe. We had 0 adverse reactions during the first 4 years of our program. Please, next slide, Lisa. And we have designed together with a manufacturer here in Lombardy, a box which allows us to bring blood components in a hostile environment. In fact, as I told you, all of our 5 helicopters in Lombardy have helicopter hoist operation capabilities. And in the next slide, I just want you to show one of those operation. So we are in a place where, of course, it was not possible to get to the patient with ground EMS. This patient has had a bad head trauma. He hit against that rock. He was a climber. He was Glasgow 6 at the scene M401V1. He was intubated and he has been rescued by hoist operation while ventilated manually by the physician. So this was just to give you a hint of what we do here in Lombardy. And on the next slide, I thank you for your attention and patience, and I apologize for the technical inconvenience I gave you. Thank you very much.
We thank you very much. There's nothing to apologize. We are living in a digital world. We made a solution. Thank you very much, Francesco, for the presentation. Thanks, Lisa, for the technical support on this situation. As well as to Johannes' presentation, I think we put any questions they are, and I think there are a lot of, to the end of the presentations, and I now want to give the third speaker the room. The third presentation will deal with helicopter MEDAVAC in Israel, and the presenter is Shafir. Shafir is veteran helicopter paramedic and a doctor of Magen David Adom Paramedic School. And here as well, Shafir, we see your editor's mode. I think you want to change the views as well.
Yeah, I'll try to change it.
Yes, up there.
I think it will change. I have a multiple screen and I just attached some of them. Now it's okay?
Now it's like before.
I thought
But
I will
Shafir, תעבור להגדרות תצוגה.
I don't mind. If you don't mind as well, you can also start with that.
Kevin, in a second, we will change it.
Not working fine. I detached one on my screen. I'll do it again. It's supposed to be okay. Now it's okay, right?
Yeah.
Now we see the presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. So good afternoon, and thank you for having me and inviting me to this webinar. And I will speak a little bit about helicopter EMS in Israel and few facts or words about Israel. I don't know if, I guess most of you knows, a relatively small country with 10 million inhabitants, 22,000 square kilometers, and not like other countries. Actually, it's quite unique around the world where have a national EMS organization, which is the organization I'm working in, MDA, Magen David Adom. And in Israel, basically, we have 2 HEMS options, which means if you have needs or if you have any situation that you need HEMS, there are 2 options for that. The first one is military, which means a unit that belongs to the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, and they are having medical capabilities, but They are mainly being launched if we need rescue, because the civilian helicopter, which is the second option of my organization, do not have rescue options. And I will speak elaborated about it in a few minutes. So, as I mentioned, Magen David Adom is the national EMS of Israel, which means we are spread or giving service and covering all the country, north to south, and the country is divided to 10 regional dispatch centers, which all connected to one national dispatch centers. We have the HEMS, or the helicopter service, since 2008, almost 16 years. And we have two operation bases, one up at the north of the country and one down in south of the country. Basically, we don't need another base in the middle of the country because there are multiple hospitals around this area, and it's because this is a relatively short country. This is also short distance from each point in the center of Israel to a close hospital. How the launch floor process goes, if in case you need or we need or we want to launch a helicopter. So one of our regional dispatch center getting a call from a patient, if he doesn't feel good, he or his families, or if any car accident or trauma event, or sometimes we're getting calls from hospital in case we need a helicopter for secondary transport. The dispatch center gets the calls and he decides what does he launch or sending to the scene. That can be one of our two type of ambulances, BLS or ALS, which means basic life support or advanced life support. And in certain circumstances, helicopter will be the answer. The helicopter will arrive at the scene and then it will take the patient to one of the hospitals that can accept that specific patient. So who can launch or who can ask a launch of helicopter to his scenario? The first and perhaps the basic request will be the regional dispatch, the dispatcher, according to the information that he's getting on the emergency call, in case he knows the geography or the place that the scenario happened, and he's getting an information that this is a scenario that belongs or fits an helicopter, so he will launch an helicopter. If one of our medical personnel will be on scene, he also can ask, I need a helicopter here because I see that this patient has a stroke, for example, and need to go to a specific hospital, or other situation that requires a helicopter. And a completely different situation can be a secondary transfer between hospitals. Not all the hospitals in Israel are level A trauma. Sometimes we're transferring patient in between hospital from secondary to level A trauma centers, hospitals, or if we need a specific treatment that can be given in a specific hospitals, sometimes the helicopter will be the answer. But no matter what, the launch decision, because we have two bases that covering all the country, the decision will be taken by the chief officer at the dispatch center, at the national dispatch center. He is the one that in contact with the helicopter teams, and he will launch them after making a decision that helicopter is needed. And I think I was already spoke about that. When do we need the helicopter in Israel? Most of the time, the majority of the cases is to save critical time when it has any kind of effect on the patient outcome. For example, stroke not in the peripheral, in the rural areas, in the peripheral areas down south in Israel, where no close hospital. Stroke, STEMI, or trauma, severe trauma cases are perfect for the helicopter work. it saves times, and that's what we will do. And sometimes, as I was mentioning before, secondary transfer between hospitals, as I said, mostly for unique procedure. For example, if we need to take a preterm baby from an hospital that does not have a unique department or level A trauma center, etc., etc. I guess you know the medical part. I mentioned that the service in Israel is since 2008, but we had some evolution about the fleet of helicopter that we're using. At the beginning, we used a small helicopter. The model was Bolko. Then for many years, we used BK 117. And at the last year, we changed the fleet to Sikorsky S76. Here you can see a big picture of it. Sikorsky S76. Part of you perhaps know Blackhawk. This is the youngest brother or the smallest brother of the Blackhawk helicopter, the same parent. Some technical details about this helicopter. It has dual engine. He can fly for almost 3 hours, which most of the time can be enough for us for 2 or 3 missions in a row without refueling. It can fly in cruising speed about 160 knots. Plenty of power in terms of taking a patient or people that are coming with the patient or special equipment, around 500 kilograms, not including fuel and staff. Our pilots and the helicopter have night vision capabilities. This helicopter can be flown according to the regulation with 1 or 2 pilots, that depending on the level of their certificates. So part of the time we have 2 pilots, and part of the time we have 1 pilot and 2 senior paramedics in each shift. In terms of medical capabilities, as you can see, there are plenty of space inside the helicopter. 2 senior paramedics. We have dual stretcher, which means we can take simultaneously 2 patients. We have full 2 ICU capabilities, special equipment. When I'm saying special, I mean equipment that is not being used by the ground ambulances. We have muscle relaxant for doing RSI, which we are not doing in the ambulance on the ground teams. FDP, by the way, we have FDP on the ambulances, or at least on part of them. But the helicopter also each helicopter has 4 whole blood units. We're using low titer whole blood. And right now, in those days, we're entering the use of ultrasound with our helicopter teams. Sometimes we have we're calling it, we're relatively a small unit as comparing to my previous colleagues, but sometimes we're also doing special missions like transferring organs for transplant between hospitals. We're sometimes giving the medical coverage for evacuation patients from rigs in the sea, Mediterranean Sea, just next to Israel, and sometimes transferring preterm babies with incubators from one hospital to another. Few words about our operations numbers. We're having an average of 1 call per day. Our north helipads usually treating trauma calls or trauma cases. The south helipads, because of the geography, it's splitting 50-50, around 50-50 between trauma and non-trauma cases. And speaking in all over time, we're saving time for the patient. The saving time to hospital is between 30 to 90 minutes. That depends in which point on the country you are in. We have some challenges in our work, although the pilots have night vision. We're calling it in professional terms NVR. Landing during the nighttime is possible only at official helipads. During the day, we can land almost everywhere. Of course, in that we need a place that we can land, but during the nighttime, only on official helipads. We do not have, as I mentioned at the beginning, option for rescue cable or rescue with cable, sorry. If we need that, we are calling the military helicopter. And during weather, if we have bad weather, oh, something happened to my laptop, I'm sorry. If we're having a bad weather, although we are flying with night vision options, we do not have all the military options or other options to fly, so we cannot fly during bad weather. Luckily, Israel do not have many days like that during the year. And thank you for your time, gentlemen. I'm leaving the floor back to you, Lisa or Chaim.
Or Kevin, I take the mic. Thank you very much. We heard 3 very interesting presentations, and before I start, I rather give the opportunity to you, dear colleagues, to ask questions. Lisa, do we have anything in the chat or in the question and answers?
We have one question to Shafir. Are your helicopters dispatched to patients solo or always in combination with ALS, BLS? What is FDP material on your helicopter? So 2 questions.
Just to make sure that I got you correctly, the question is the combination or the composition of the medical team, right?
I think so. It's
Okay.
the dispatching team. There's an addition.
Okay,
Ludwig, if you want to, you can also open your microphone if it is easier to ask the question this way.
Yeah, I'd be glad to. But if not, I'll try. I hope I got the question right. So first of all, on the helicopter, as I mentioned, 2 senior paramedics. We do not have physician on board. We're using the service of paramedics only. And the dispatch center is the dispatcher minimum EMTs in our organization. And the decision that to launch the helicopter, the officer, can be an EMT or paramedic, which now have a shift on the dispatch center. I hope I got the question right.
Shafir, if I may add, normally a helicopter is sent in parallel to an ambulance, BLS or ALS. It would be quite rare in Magen David Adom that the helicopter will arrive without an ambulance crew being present on the scene. Rarely it would happen if there is no road access to the patient, but this is the very unusual situation. Normally, we will have at least an BLS ambulance on the scene, if not an ALS team, before the helicopter arrives.
Chaim is right. And if I may also add, this is one of the advantages of being a national EMS service. We are all our ambulances and life guardians, and we have some medicycles are geo-located, which means we have GPS. We can cross the site of the call with the ambulance, with the helicopter, everybody on the same map, so we can reach or find the location and be in connection with the ground team very efficiently.
Shafir, and the second question was about the FDP.
What is the question? FDP? So what is it?
Okay, FDP is fried dried plasma, which means it's kind of powder, a plasma that was dried and became a powder. All you need to do is to add saline or injectable water, dilute or dissolve the powder, and that's becoming back to be plasma, and then you can give it to the patient.
Francesco, you're nodding with your head. Do you have this as well?
No, we do not. We in Italy currently we do not have any freeze-dried plasma product that has been validated for clinical use, and so we do use thawed plasma. That is the fresh frozen plasma that has been thawed and then put in those boxes I showed you during the presentation. And it is those boxes that keep the temperature stable around 4 to 6 Celsius degrees, and it's like fridge temperature, or up to 48 to 72 hours. And so we are able to bring thawed plasma with us and give it to the patient, and it is already liquid to be given to the patient. That is an advantage. There is a disadvantage compared to freeze dried plasma. That is that once plasma has been thawed, it must be given to a patient for clinical use within 5 days from thawing. Okay, if at the fifth day, the thawed plasma has not been used, it cannot be used for clinical use anymore.
That's correct. We're not using the same option like you, Francesco, because we have this product also in our ambulances, which means many dozens of them are kept in ambulances 24/7, and they don't need any special condition, which means we just store them in the ambulance. It doesn't have to be stored cold or in special boxes. By the way, that's a product manufactured in Germany.
Yeah, by the German Red Cross, I guess. Is that correct?
I think that's a commercial. That's a commercial company.
By the German Red Cross, yes. By the Bavarian Red Cross.
Okay, thanks. But I think you have all blood in Israel. I saw from your presentation.
Yeah, we have all blood, but yeah, sorry.
No, it is the old blood has many advantage, I think, over components, because I mean it's just one bag and you have everything inside it. You have blood cells, red cells, proteins, and platelets, and also it can be stored at fridge temperature up to 21 days, if I'm not wrong. So it's I think by far more convenient than a balanced transfusion with blood cells and plasma. But so far in Italy, we are not ready for that. But congratulations to you for using it. I think it's the best product out of hospital. Thank you.
Yeah, you're completely right. It's can be kept for 21 days. And then in case that we're having a flight, we're taking it in a special box like you showed on your presentation, and we can take the box with us. It keeps the temperature around 5 degrees Celsius, and if we're using it, it's good. If not, we're bringing it back to the station, back to the refrigerator for the next of the time.
Shafir, you showed your crew. Did I understood you well that you have 2 senior paramedics on the helicopter, though there's no doctor you fly with?
Right. Our service works in a model not only on the helicopter, but also on the ambulances without physicians on board, not on our ambulances and not in the helicopter. But we do have a medical, this kind of medical advisory phone or phone line that you can advise a physician online 24/7 that walking or sitting inside our dispatch center. And he can see, it's kind of I cannot call it telemedicine, but he can watch and see live your monitor, the paramedic monitor or in the ambulance or on scene. And he can speak, of course, with the paramedic, also in the helicopter or on ground in the ambulances. But yes, you're right. No physician on board, unless on special cases, like I mentioned, taking a preterm baby from one hospital to another, or of course, specific neonate physician will come, but on a daily basis, we are not having physician on board.
Okay. Before I ask further questions, dear colleagues, what do you want to know? Don't hesitate, write something or ask Lisa to open your mic. So Lisa, do we get any questions? Your mic is closed now.
I think we're done with the questions.
Okay.
Many thanks.
So I may just put a quick summary to the three very interesting speaks I heard now. They're three completely different services, but I see we have a lot of in common. The types of helicopters we used, I was very glad that to see that you, Francesco, for example, fly with the same helicopters we use here in Germany. We have a lot of technical stuff, we do the same, and we have a lot of technical stuff which is different. Different probably through the geography, to the hospital situations, to the situations for all. I thank you very much. I ask you three, Shafir, Francesco, and Johannes, to stay within the call so we can have the expert discussion. And now I give to Lisa.
Many thanks. Yeah, just a few last sentence probably. Come on. I would like to share again the QR codes. First, to become a part of the KnowEMS network, as well as a QR code to register for a certificate of attendance. You can also find both links in the chat. If you're not able to scan the QR code with your laptop at the moment, the registration link for the certificates will be open for 1 week starting from now. And if you're interested, please follow us on LinkedIn, on our Knowledge Network webpage from the EU, or on YouTube. As I already announced, our webinars are scheduled for the first Thursday of each month. So the next will be on the 6th of February, same time, 5 p.m. And it will be about using EMT capacities in domestic response. So many thanks for being here with us today and to learn about helicopters in Germany, Italy, and Israel. The official part of the webinar is over now. We wish all of you a nice afternoon and goodbye.
Thank you very much for attending.